Hi, Esperanza. It's your mom. This is my new room, the new place that I live. I saw your TikTok video, and I want you to know the truth about how your life was. So, when Jeremy died, I was very sad. And his funeral came and went, and then your dad Danny showed up in my life, and he helped me. He got me out of the house, and it was that your Uncle Robert's and Mama Michelle's house that I got busted growing marijuana. And when I was getting busted, I knew that God had saved my life and your life too. And God sent me a dream, and He said, "You wanted a baby, you're going to have a baby, and this baby's going to live." And so, because I got busted growing marijuana at your Uncle Robert's house and and Mama Michelle's house, I reluctantly went back to Butte. I was on meth then. I got clean, and I brought you into this world after working 2 jobs at the BLM and as a banquet server at the Copper King Hotel and Convention Center. Okay? I nursed you. You were beautiful, and Robert and Michelle allowed me to work at the laundromat and take care of you while also watching their kids. Right around Christmas time, they finally served me the warrant for my marijuana possession. And it was the day that I was coming home from a banquet. I was working that night. And Jeremy, another Jeremy, not Jeremy, my husband, but another Jeremy, was a cop. And I waved him down because I knew he had just come back from Iraq, and he was a family friend and a friend of your Uncle Robert's. And he said, "I'm sorry, Vanetta, I have to arrest you because you have a warrant out of Livingston." Now, this was devastating to me because it was so close to Christmas, and I had this infant child, but I was still nursing you at the time. And Grandma had to take time off work, and the neighbor had helped take care of you. And Auntie Stacy helped get me out of jail and pay for a lawyer. And I got back to Butte, and I got to be with you. And I was sober for the last 6 months of my pregnancy and the first 8 months of your beautiful little life, okay? And you're right. When I was facing criminal charges and they were saying that I was going to go to prison, I relapsed. I did. I relapsed not just on alcohol, but meth and marijuana too. And that's when, after 2 years of my probation officer giving me chances, he allowed me to go to treatment. Okay? Addiction is not about who you love or hate or whose life you want in. Addiction is a disease that eats you up, and I hope you never have to suffer from it. Your grandmother is a closet alcoholic, but she's a functional alcoholic. I'm more like Grandma Lenora, who you are named after, who just, when she started drinking, she couldn't stop. I'm that same kind of addict alcoholic. I never didn't want you. I just didn't know how to get well because, well, Janelle's tough. And yes, I got into an abusive relationship with a man who is exactly like your grandma Janelle. Okay? He's exactly like her. He's just as abusive and diminishing and controlling and hateful and bitter, and he calls it love. So as I grew up, the only thing I knew as love was hate. And I didn't want that for you. Now, when I got out of pre-release, the reason I moved to Belgrade was because I knew there were no jobs in Butte, and it was only a matter of time before I would relapse in Butte. I knew that because all my addict friends lived in Butte. Hap and I got clean together. We got sober together, and we got pregnant with Shelby. And never for a second did I think that what happened to you with him would ever happen to you with him. I never thought that because we'd been clean, and he was not abusive with me when he was clean. And I thought we were going to be a family, and we lived in a beautiful home. But then, that day, when he assaulted me and holding Shelby, it scared me. I moved into a shelter. And then Grandma treated me to breakfast and kidnapped me and lied to me and kept you from me for months. And I spiraled into a depression that I couldn't control. Because they kept saying I was bipolar. I'm not bipolar. I have dissociative identity disorder based on PTSD, which means that because of the trauma that I sustained in my childhood due to your grandmother, and then because of Hap and the death of Jeremy, I have multiple personalities. I have people you will meet that you will not recognize as your mother. But they're in me, and I need to find a way to blend them, and that's why I went to Missoula. I tried to run as far away from him as I could, and he found me there. And it sucked. Because I kept thinking, better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. And no matter how much I tried to get away from him, he kept showing up, not just to perpetrate on me, but also to rescue me. Grandma never rescued me. Grandma could give a fuck less. And I love you. And I want you to have good things. And your grandmother doesn't love me. Your grandmother doesn't love me. I don't care what she tells other people. But the reason I run screaming from our house is because the one thing I knew to be true when I grew up was that if I ran from her, I was safe. And I do the same thing with Hap. If I run from him, I know I'm safe. But when they show up and they threaten me with the prosperity of never seeing my children again, I go back so I can see you. I didn't move in with Grandma because I needed rescuing. I could be homeless all day and night and survive. I just wanted to be with you. And I know the marijuana was an issue for you, but she's that toxic on me. That day that I left, I was tired. I'd been dealing with a lot of stress, and your grandma doesn't care. She'll sleep all day and make excuses for why she gets to sleep all day because she's old. But when I needed rest, do you think that she gave a fuck that I needed rest? I'm sorry I said evil things to you. It's just, Grandma's just never gonna let me be a good person in her world, and you're part of her world. And when you started taking her side, I was hurt. And now it's happening with Shelby. And I don't know how to save you, because I can't save you. I can't even save myself. I never gave you up because of drugs. I gave you up because when I wanted to have you, I wasn't stable enough, and I didn't want to drag you through homelessness from shelter to shelter with me. It wasn't fair to you. You were raised in the house that I grew up in. Shelby was raised in the house where her grandma could take care of her. I'm the one that called CPS to make sure John and Brenna got her, and now they're being cruel. And that's okay. I deserve that. But you guys don't. I love you. I get to spend time with Dad, and Dad tells me straightforward how it is. You know what, though? You know what Janelle never gave me? She never let me know my dad. And she lied about him all the time. And she lies about me. And yes, your mother will always be an addict, but she can be an addict in recovery. I still talk to Pastor Rod, and I still talk to my sponsor every single day. And I'm in a safe space, and I'm trying to do this right. But no matter how many times I hit it right, they're just taking so much money from my check for back child support, and you deserve to be raised by it. And I would rather live in squalor than leave you without. But it's hard to find a job when I can't even survive. I can't even pay rent. And I'll forever be stuck in a roommate situation, and that's not fair to you. I love you, and I miss you, and you're just like me. You're just like me. You don't realize that, but you're just like me. And I'll love you forever.